Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Chris. I'm back with another video, and I'm going to look at Anthony Edwards' first signature shoe with Adidas basketball, and I'm naming this post Beyond Design. Now, you see me with a couple of magazines here. There's a reason I have these magazines. These are Bounce magazines, old throwback magazines that I just had sitting over to the side over here in the office, and I wanted to bring those out because I'll make some references to things that I want to show you, even though it's not in here completely, but forget that. Let's get to it. Adidas's legacy in basketball, it's never quite reached its potential. The brand always leaned towards big men, right? In the 70s and the 80s with Kareem and then with Patrick Ewing. But Kareem was a cerebral, thoughtful athlete, and that made him a really difficult brand partner, even with his massive success. And then Patrick Ewing left Adidas to create his own sneaker company, Ewing Athletics. So what you have is this kind of revolving door of athletes and grassroots movements, with the most high profile moment for Adidas being Kobe Bryant leaving, doing free agency, and then signing with the swoosh. Through decades of NCAA basketball championships with Kansas and Indiana, the Keith Smart shot, Adidas basketball should be synonymous with winning. You would think that. Unfortunately, the one step short legacy, it haunts the brand. So what do? You figure it out, right? Well, this is the problem. T-Mac's Hall of Fame career, it doesn't resonate. And I'm getting to Anthony Edwards' signature, which you see over here next to me. The Basketball as a Brotherhood campaign was an incredible moment. Now, if you don't remember that, that's the reason I got these Bounce magazines, and I'm showing you these because you see T-Mac on the back of this, and on this one you have Kevin Garnett. You can see him lightly up here at the top, but the shoes are very similar. Very similar. And all it did was add, it didn't quite make sense what Adidas was doing with this shoe, because it wasn't a signature, but the Basketball is a Brotherhood featured T-Mac, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Chauncey Billups, and I'm trying to remember the last person. There were 5 people going up. Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas. As a matter of fact, Gilbert Arenas. So I know somebody's like, dang, he actually played ball. Yeah, Gilbert Arenas played ball. He didn't just stand around and talk about all the players and disrespect Akeem. But that's kind of getting me off topic. But I'm jumping. I wanted to make sure I showed these because it was really interesting to look at, because Adidas was fighting against Nike in the early 2000s, right? So you had, or the mid 2000s. This was actually what, 2008? Yeah, 2008. These magazines are 2008. But here's the thing. Tim Duncan left Nike for Adidas, which was good. And he won championships, but he's a big man. And I think the most prominent thing that kind of befalls Adidas basketball overall is Icarus. And who do I mean by Icarus? It's the rise and fall of D. Rose. In Derrick Rose, Adidas had everything all in one. He was dynamic. He was on the cusp of creating a Michael Jordan-esque career with the Bulls, but injuries. Anthony Edwards reminds me in a strange way of D. Rose. And I'm hoping that his football background makes him a lot more resistant to injury. Now, since D. Rose kind of fell apart, the Three Stripes only has one championship resume on their basketball roster, current basketball roster. I'm not looking at Kareem and going back in the past. And that's Candace Parker, and she has the ace. Their squadron of athletes, James Harden, Trae Young, Dame, they're all caught in this weird shift of sneaker culture away from hoop shoes as casual. People aren't really rocking hoop shoes as casual shoes anymore. But this Anthony Edwards shoe that you see here, it feels different. It feels a lot different. He's one of those athletes who can change the game with athleticism. He's explosive like Derrick Rose, and his edge, it makes him perfectly suited for being a signature athlete like the guys in the 90s. You know what I mean? So Anthony Edwards is special. And Adidas rolled out, and you see him here to the side with Lil Baby. They rolled out his shoe in a great way with the Lamborghini painted the same color as the initial drop that's coming. They had the on-trend rapper with Lil Baby, and him and Edwards, they hail from the same town. They had the dope car with the Urus, right? Painted in the same color as the announcement. They got a great design, man. And it's an excellent design. I think this looks fantastic. As a signature shoe, it doesn't look like anything else that's dropped, really. It does have a little bit of that foam kind of look as the Kobe from a while back, but it's more streamlined. I can actually see this transitioning to the court in a very similar fashion that the Question did for Allen Iverson's first shoe. They nailed this design. Nailed it. The problem is this isn't the 90s. In a recent report on Nike basketball, after analyzing data, I found that hoop shoes, signature basketball models, are no longer a part of sneaker culture, and they don't really resonate with sneakerheads who buy multiple pairs of kicks a year. Basketball sneakers are seasonal. There are spikes in sales, and they happen at basically 3 to 4 critical moments of the year. In the fall, prior to the high school and college basketball season, you get a spike in basketball sales. The winter prior to playoffs and around the holidays, where guys will pick up a second pair of shoes. Guys and girls pick up a second pair of shoes for the season. It happens in the spring as players begin to gear up for travel basketball season. And then it happens in the summer during the viewing period for basketball. And if you don't know what the viewing period is, that's the NCAA's time where college coaches can go out and recruit and scout players at these major tournaments. That's when you have your EYBL, your Gauntlet, your Under Armour Association, all of your different events for basketball players. Now, there's another thing that I figured out in that report that I was writing for Nike Basketball. I found that parents of young kids and teens, and those parents who are capable of attending NBA games, that's a certain demographic which needs to be discussed. Those parents of those young kids and teens will purchase their favorite player's shoes and jersey. So you have kind of an outlier, but that's not a part of sneaker culture. If you go and look at any sneaker culture website or any Twitter thread, they're not talking about signature basketball releases at all. Not at all. So you may have it show up on a website, but they're not really having full-blown conversations about them. You have these parents who are buying them, and you have the athletes who are buying them. And that presents an interesting situation. The time when a basketball sneaker was the only option for a person to buy, that time is over. That was the 90s. And if you take a basketball shoe and you put it on the shelf at a mainstream retailer, it's a difficult prospect for sales. They don't sell. Now, how can I say that and prove that? I should have had this picture showing so you can see the shoes again. These shoes look fantastic, man, and they really do remind me of the Jordan 15. Jordan 15, which was not a popular shoe because of that tongue. I think it was the tongue that, represented Michael Jordan's tongue, that tongue coming out. This looks a lot like it in the shape of the shoe, which means the color blocking on this is going to be excellent throughout the season, especially as they start making player exclusives. This is a fantastic model. I love it when the upper of a shoe, and I'm going to move my mouse and show you when like this black is here, this booty, and then you have the socks that you can put on and match this part of the shoe. That's going to allow for a lot of stylistic things that can be done with the model, and I think it's one of the most capable shoes of transitioning from the court to kind of a streetwear aspect. If Adidas doesn't go overboard with big baggy pants and that kind of fear of God look that they're playing around with, which gets me to my last points, which really isn't my last point, but it's few. Beyond design, this AE1 is dope. It's more than capable of crossing over into casual wear, which is something none of Adidas's recent signature shoes have done. None of them. The AE1 sneaker arrives at a time when sneaker sales are sluggish for Jordan Retro models. Now, why am I bringing up Jordan Retro 1s and 4s and all of these different Jordan Retros that are sitting on the shelves at Foot Locker? When retros are readily available, along with an abundance of promotional items that are on shelves, it makes it difficult to sell anything that isn't a limited release item. It's a bad time for the AE1 to arrive as good as it looks because there's so much on sale. How can I say that? I'm going to give you some numbers here because you have to look at the signature sneaker sales for Adidas. And I'm going to give you this data from third party year over the year from September 2022 to 2023. And think about the SRP prices when I give you this. Harden, $72.66 as an average sold price. The Harden shoe, I think, is $160 retail. That's 50% off, basically. The Trae has the best value of any of the shoes, but only 1,400 sold in the third-party marketplace, which means it's a tough sell. But they're only selling for $85.36. The Trae, I think, is $130. The Dame is $130. $67.33 is the sale price, basically 50% off. The D Rose sells at the worst price point of $63.68 with only 2,878 sold. That's more than a Trae, but almost $20 cheaper, over $20 cheaper. But it's not all doom and gloom. There's been a shift in interest around basketball. YouTubers are building careers on playing pickup basketball games. Dev in the Lab and all of these different guys that are playing on YouTube, and they're gaining these huge followings. Basketball, which for a while had taken a backseat to video games for young kids, it's now becoming a digital media sports viewership model. In other words, you can get your boys together and build a YouTube channel out of a basketball game. It's possible now. It's become a digital media thing that's based on highlights. And Anthony Edwards is special. He's special because people of all ages are watching basketball highlights online at this kind of amazing clip. You have to ask yourself if that will benefit Anthony Edwards and Adidas. I say possibly. Anthony Edwards is a highlight reel. Now, the apparel, the chapter collections from Adidas, they're really close to that Fear God level. I don't necessarily think that's going to work for this shoe. I think you need to display the shoe. You need to go back to more of the jogger pant style for that with a baggy cut. Not super baggy in the crotch and stuff like that. I mean, just a little bit baggy down at the bottom of the leg where it's not super tight. You should really accent those shoes. The shoe looks fantastic. Adidas has an opportunity to catch lightning in a bottle, but they have to go beyond design, which is why I named it this, beyond design, and create a regional strategy for North America catering to team sales and grassroots promotion. And if they can do this grassroots promotion of athletes from high school and start working with some of these pickup basketball guys, it might be a difficult task, but maybe, just maybe, this A1 is going to do something that no other basketball shoe has done outside of the GT Cut for Nike. The GT Cut 1, amazing shoe, even hit resale and is still rolling in resale because Nike stopped making it. They were smart enough to pull back on it. And that's going to be a shoe that's going to be coveted for a long time. I think this shoe has the same potential. That's it. Hopefully you guys like these type of videos. I'm really going to start spending a lot more time doing the articles from the site. Please subscribe and share, like, leave comments. Let me know what you think about this post. It's in the description. You can click through and read it, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.